Hi folks, this is going to be a really long video for the amount of days. This covers August the 14th through August the 20th. And yes, there is going to be another real busy day, but I decided I would bring this all together just because there's 6 days involved. And if the things weren't happening, I wouldn't be showing you this. Now, the way I've positioned the camera is so that it targets these anomalies in the Stargate area. The more centered the security cam light is, that's just infrared LEDs for an infrared security camera, and it shows up in ultraviolet. And you'll notice that the Stargate area is going to be right above the date and timestamp, which are correct. And I'm going to try to show you a little bit of slow motion. I hope you all are viewing this in high definition. This is really strange because my roofline does not peak at the top. I don't know what that is, unless it's a visitation from an ultraviolet source from underneath or something. I'm not sure, because there is no other source for ultraviolet light than the security camera that I position in the center, so that the majority of these incidents, these events that take place in the Stargate area, will show up just above the time and date stamp. I think it's a little more professional, and you can see that things move both to the through this triangle, this Stargate triangle, both from the lower right hand to the upper left hand, and from the upper left hand to the lower right hand. And I've got some really amazing footage to show you a little bit later. Now, these bright spots, you can see all this stuff happening around it, and it seems to be in a circular motion. I consider them some kind of a portal, but I think the Stargate must be used for exiting. And I just love the flashes that I get. Some of the flashes are really interesting. And they have to be called fast walkers by definition, because not only do they move, but they also change altitude, direction, and they do it at such a high rate of speed. We call them fast walkers, and that term was actually coined for stuff they saw crossing the moon and then changing directions. Especially shadows. These are not shadows. And a couple of these videos are just pretty dramatic. I wanted to show you this little plasma ball that was off to the right hand side. If you didn't see it, that was the raw footage prior. It may be the same kind of orb that visited over my house on the 13th, so I'm unsure. It looks like a plasma orb to me. I'm just amazed that I'm getting all these colors in ultraviolet. But it rotates and changes colors like the other orb on the August the 13th video. Again, a flash. This is actually coming out of the Stargate area. And originally I wasn't showing these until I realized that they didn't have another home. This one is really fast. I couldn't believe that if you look at the timestamp, it moves across this screen at a rate that has to be several Mach with no sound. And it's so weird when I get close up. Even though it had a strobe light, I had to include this because it's not normal. I don't know how to explain that. It changes size too. Pretty odd. And this is all in the Stargate area. Sometimes the portal is actually activating the Stargate, and it's a very odd. And that's an object moving into the Stargate area. You can see it's not a meteorite. It actually looks like it has some propulsion. I think this is a cloaked area, by the way. The whole Stargate area is used because they have some kind of an ultraviolet cloaking technology that even makes it invisible to most ultraviolet filming. It's just when things pass through it. Again, I just don't know what to think about this. This is not a structure that I have on the property. And again, the ultraviolet light is coming from somewhere. So maybe they're actually visiting me at these times. I'm not real sure. I don't remember. And I don't know why it would be reflected into the air like that. Again, some of this, I try to show you the brightest of these portal functions. And they're all extremely similar, including the orbs passing around. And the slight move to the right and down before getting brighter and then disappearing. And you can see this is all in exactly the same area at different times. That's why I positioned this area directly above the time and date stamp, by the way. And again, you'll notice the distinct similarity from the last event. They're almost identical, with the exception of some of the orbs are in a different place. And I've omitted most of the stuff that I probably would have shown you earlier. I can't imagine the length of the video if I had tried to show you everything. And I hope that this is not boring anybody, because it just amazes me. Slide down to the right and then bright and out of the picture. And it looks like something is moving not only through but around the area too. And I've lessened the sharpening a little bit down to about 11%. I found that 10% was a little bit too low, and the previous was at about 12.5% in sharpening. I found that it you know, caused what I could call artifacts. Right, and out. These portal events are almost the same as every event that lights that area. In just a flash with a structure. I've begun to try to position the security camera really low because I don't want to involve any of speculation about the roof line. It's just not. It's not part of this. I make sure that there are no reflective areas, even though I've got solar panels. I try not to include as any part of the roof line if I can. And you notice that some of these flashes actually have orbs beside them. I think the portal events are really pretty too. Slips down to the right, and out. And the fact that they're happening in exactly the same spot every time says that they're from something. Slips down to the right, brightens, and out. But the colors are amazing when you think that this is all being filmed in an ultraviolet range. I don't pick up stars with this camera. It does not enhance infrared light. It does show it, as you'll see with the security camera itself has infrared LEDs, and it picks it up as an ultraviolet signature. And I think that some of the portals that show up brighter and longer are from larger craft exiting. So this has got to be happening in an orbital range. This is something that's actually in space. And it's stationary. So it tells me that it's in what we call a Lagrange orbit. That's so that they don't have to use that much energy. Although I don't think that's a problem with whoever is doing this. But I have to believe that our government is involved because it is stationary and so many things are happening. This was one of the longer times that Stargate was actually open. That's just amazing. It seems to mirror off like as if it's into parallel dimensions too, or parallel worlds with dimensions. I don't know how to actually open that. And you can see the action is circular when these portals happen. It's just so much going on. That it has to be artificial. This is not Old Faithful out there in space. Now some of these on the 19th show that the portal openings might actually work in conjunction with the Stargate itself. I saw one of these portals open, and directly after it, the Stargate, something shot through the Stargate. So something entered and exited, or who knows, made a transition to another place. And all the colors you see are those would be artifacts. That's why I lessened the amount of sharpening that I do. I'm trying to include only what's actually going on. Again, some of the portals that are really strong, bright, and last for a longer time, I think involve larger craft. The ones that were not as crisp and sharp as the ones that I'm showing you, I'm just not including it. There's just so much activity. I don't know that there's more or less, or if I'm actually just becoming more aware of it, or the targeting is more accurate. Could be a number of factors involved. But something is obviously up there, and it's obviously stationary, and things are moving through it both right and left. I like some of these double light. The one to the upper right, I don't really include. It seems it might actually be some kind of a reflection against something else. Who knows? You know, it might be another craft up there that they're not aware that it's actually reflecting from, and that's a very good picture of the Stargate. And you can see it's a little better with less sharpening. But I just love to see those things a little closer and in slow motion. Some of these flashes are obviously structured vehicles. I don't know how else to explain them. It's another great picture of the Stargate. The 20th was really busy. This one happened 3 times in a matter of seconds. And that center one is just amazing. There's the 3rd time. This was all in one event. 3 things passed through in seconds. There's the first. The second is dramatic. And I'll show you some stills of that. sorry, it takes a little longer when it's in super slow motion. This is at 30%, by the way, so you can tell how fast that actually was. And then the third one coming up. And you can see some of that portal type lighting may actually be a sign that this Stargate is active in some other fashion than the portals might actually be part of the gate system. I'm not real sure. They don't seem to be corners of the triangle. So it's a huge area out here that's actually cloaked. And now I think I'm slowing it down to about 10% on the second incident, because it goes so fast. And that's slowed to about 10%. So it's just barely moving, and there's a close-up. It's a close-up of the triangle. And back to portal activity. And this little orb to the upper left seems to be a part of this function too. You don't really notice it until you zoom in, and then all the orbs tend to become quite a bit more dramatic. And you can see it on almost all of these. There's that little orb to the upper left. Beautiful Stargate. And there's a plane actually moving through the frame at the same time, so it's unusual. Most of these Stargate activities don't seem to work when there are aircraft around. I don't know. No doubt they have all the schedules and whatnot. So maybe they're becoming a bit more transparent. That would be nice. Thank you.